Palin blasting President Obama over the outbreak of violence in the Middle East. Governor Sarah Palin saying, in part, it's about time our president stood up for America and condemned these Islamic extremists. I realize there must be a lot on his mind these days, what with our economy's abysmal jobless numbers and Moody's new warning about yet another downgrade to our nation's credit rating due to the current administration's failure to come up with a credible deficit reduction plan. And, of course, he has a busy schedule with all those rounds of golf, softball interviews with the pimp with the limp, and fundraising dinners with his corporate cronies. But our nation's security should be of utmost importance to our commander-in-chief. America can't afford any more leading from behind in such a dangerous world. Former UN Ambassador John Bolton joins us. Good evening, Ambassador. And, boy, the people are angry tonight, not just on the streets of Cairo, but back here in the United States. Your thoughts, sir, as I know that you knew the ambassador, or at least had met him, but very disturbing news.
Well, we're at a critical period for the United States and the region, and these attacks, this tragic assassination of our ambassador in Libya and 3 of his colleagues, is in large measure caused by the weakness and fecklessness of the Obama administration's policies. Al-Qaeda, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Salafists in Libya and Egypt have seen weakness, and they have acted on it. And the administration has done nothing today to correct the impression that the weakness in our policy remains. I really think the analogy to Tehran in 1979, before our embassy was taken hostage by the Ayatollahs, is right on the mark here. We're at a very, very dangerous point, and the president is not demonstrating appropriate American strength.
You know, there's so much attention, Ambassador, on what happened in Libya with the murder of our ambassador and 3 others. And there's attention. We're looking now at these live pictures of what's going on at about 4 a.m. in Cairo. There's been some protests in Tunisia. But let me tell you another thing that caught my attention. The response from Afghan President Hamid Karzai. He issued a statement today condemning the movie and calling it an insult to Islam, saying desecration is not a part of the freedom of expression, but a criminal act that has now badly affected the righteous sentiments of 1.5 billion Muslims all over the globe. Take that and contrast it with the fact how many Americans have fought and died trying to do the right thing in Afghanistan. And what's his statement? His statement is about an insult to Islam, not the fact that we had 4 of our Americans murdered in that embassy or that consulate.
No, it's outrageous, and it's the kind of thing that shows just how much Karzai fears the Taliban when, under the Obama administration policy, the American troops that are keeping Karzai in office disappear from his country. That's why this is a strategic moment for the United States from across the broader Middle East. If we don't stand up here for our interest and our values, we will see our interest and our values trashed all over the place. Let's just take Egypt and Libya for a minute. The governments of those countries failed in their fundamental responsibility to protect our diplomats and our embassy, and yet there's no word from the president on that failure. It leads to the issue whether Libya, elements of the Libyan and Egyptian governments were not complicit in these actions.
And as we continue to watch these pictures, I mean, it's just you can't take your eyes off them. And, of course, the very sad news today, Ambassador Stevens, he did serve as U.S. envoy to the Libyan opposition during the revolution in Libya. And only 4 months ago, he was appointed ambassador to Libya. And he recorded this State Department video.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Chris Stevens, and I'm the new U.S. ambassador to Libya. Right now, I'm in Washington, preparing for my assignment. As I walk around the monuments and memorials commemorating the courageous men and women who made America what it is, I'm reminded that we, too, went through challenging periods. When America was divided by a bitter civil war 150 years ago.
Ambassador, it just breaks your heart looking at this man who was doing so much for the Libyans and for us here at home in America. Is there something, I mean, does our foreign policy need some adjustment tonight?
Well, it needs a new president. It needs somebody who understands that American strength and leadership in the world prevent this kind of murder and attacks on our people overseas. And, you know, it's not just the official Americans who are at risk throughout the Middle East. It's the tens or hundreds of thousands of private citizens. They are on business, on tourism, visiting families, and they are at risk because people see that the United States has not and apparently will not stand up to these kinds of attacks. And when you add to it casting Prime Minister Netanyahu adrift, not being able to deal with Iran's quest for nuclear weapons, people see the United States in decline. Our adversaries will calculate on that and adjust their policies accordingly. The risks are rising, and we are standing idly by.
And of course, again, I draw your attention to these pictures in Cairo where people are, protesting against us right now. Ambassador, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the deadly attacks on Americans in the Middle East